It is Wednesday night. It's November 29th, 2023. Brand new episode of the Kicking Out Podcast, streaming live on the Kicking Out Podcast YouTube channel and on our Twitter/X page. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a follow if you haven't already at Kicking Out Pod on all social media platforms. And if you're listening on your favorite audio podcast platform, give us that 5-star rating and review. We really appreciate it, and that really helps us out. With all that said, hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving last week. I'm Tanner Lee, co-host Austin Shepard in the house, and he's got a message right in there. Kettle One, you need to listen. Couldn't agree with that more. Our other co-host Paul Zartman is off this week, but hopefully he'll be back next week. So, Shep, how we doing? Love the message to Kettle. Guessing that's what you might be drinking tonight.
It is. I've kind of slacked the last couple of weeks ever since I moved out of the old house and I moved into the new place. I have one drink, so I haven't really gone out of my comfort zone, and I don't know if I want to.
That's all right.
At first, actually, you know what? We go back to the old house. Remember, I took that stupid moonshine shot.
Oh yeah.
And I explained the story. I had the red version a couple days earlier, and it was 80 proof, and it was like drinking fruit punch. And then I bought the blue version, thinking it was the same thing. I did not read the damn label, and it was 128 proof, whatever. So no, I've been sticking like with the normal, like Kettle One. I buy enough of it. I buy enough of it, Kettle One. Like throw me a bone, dog. A hat, a koozie,
something.
I mean, a T-shirt. I'll wear the T-shirt every week. Although I did just place a KOP order, by the way.
Oh, did you? What'd you get?
I bought some of my friends some shirts for Christmas. Let's just put it that way.
All right. And,
yes.
And speaking of kickingoutshop.com, we still got a promo code going on through Friday, December 1st. If you use promo code BLACK23, you get free shipping. And if you miss out on that code, be on the lookout for another one towards the end of the year into the new year. There's going to be another one coming up. So, but like Shep just mentioned, you can get T-shirts. I got one on right now. I'm going down another rabbit hole because I'm sure I'm going to go down some tonight. We're going to go down some tonight. You can get T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, pint glasses. I think we got jackets, tank tops. I don't think we have any stickers, but we might. Heck, I don't even know what we have. We have beanies. We have so many things on there. So kickingoutshop.com.
And just I'll give you an asterisk. If we're gonna go down that many rabbit holes, I'm gonna pull a Tony Khan because I've had too much coffee. So I might if I disappear for 30 seconds, I just had to go, take a coffee break, if you know what I mean.
Oh, that's all right. And we'll see how many rabbit holes I am fighting. And I apologize to everybody if I sound a little nasally. I am fighting a cold that came on this afternoon. It's hit me like a ton of bricks. So maybe we won't go down too many rabbit holes tonight, but I'm sure we'll find a few.
It's professional wrestling. Why wouldn't we?
Why wouldn't we? And it's not like anything big happened over the weekend or anything.
In the last 14 days, it's been pretty fun to be a professional wrestling fan.
I remember last year we were doing our year in review and our predictions for 2023. We're like, I don't know if any year can get crazier than 2022. And 2023 has said, hold my beer, because it has just been wild.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good analogy.
And I would say 2024, I don't know if we'll have the drama, but as far as talents going back and forth, I think we're going to see a lot more of that next year because contracts are going to start coming up.
I think you'll see some of that mid-level talent of AEW not get renewed. So it'll be interesting to see where they show up.
I agree with that 100%. Speaking of a mid-level talent, what I'd consider mid-level talent was Jay Lethal. He and John Moxley, who's definitely not a mid-level talent, he is a main event talent. They kicked off tonight's Dynamite in the Continental Classic match, tournament match, I should say. I enjoyed all these matches tonight, but my complaint of this tournament so far is it's been very predictable. So far, because I think we're starting to come up on some matchups that aren't going to be very predictable. So
I agree with that statement, except one match. and maybe I had to take a little bit of my fandom, my markness out tonight. I kind of thought Briscoe would go over Roosh.
That was one I wasn't sure. The other two tonight, I was pretty sure he
Yeah.
was going to go over, even though the main event was great.
Yes, it
But
was.
I still thought the guy who won was going to go over. But this was a good opener. 2 weeks in a row, they've had Lethal open the show. Is he the new Orange Cassidy? I wouldn't go that far, but hey, a good spot for him. I like that they're finally putting Lethal in a position where he's wrestling without interference, without Jarrett and his goons.
I do, and I really think Lethal could be more than a main.
I know you said that last week.
Mid-level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Lethal. I really do. I mean, longest reigning ROH champion of all time. Just was.
But we know he can talk. Look what he did in TNA with Black Machismo.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Do I think he's held back a little bit with the Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, who is worthless than tits on a boar? Yeah, he's better than that. Now, him and Jarrett as a tag team, because Jarrett still is very entertaining, and I can watch all day long. The other two guys with the pencil behind his ear and whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just one of those cases where, I mean, Lethal is very talented, like you said. It's just AEW's roster is so deep and stacked with talent, just kind of falls where he does, unfortunately.
Yeah. So he has his place, but I also think he could still be very, very useful in ROH. I really do.
I do too. He takes probably too many L's. He probably should get a few more W's in there, but is what it is. He was going against a guy tonight who hardly ever loses, John Moxley, and Moxley. Let's be honest, and I think this past week proved it to me again. He is the face of AEW. And he's been one of the faces since day one, but he is the heartbeat of AEW. Him and Bryan Danielson, I would say, and Jericho, since Jericho's been there since day one. But those three are kind of your locker room leaders, I guess.
Yeah. There's some things that Moxley does that I'm just not a big fan of. He does a lot of those forearm shivers, as I would call them. I thought they looked weak tonight. If I want to nitpick John Moxley, which if John Moxley was sitting next to me, he would punch me.
What is that? 2 weeks in a row we haven't seen Mox bleed? What's up with that?
Well, he made Briscoe bleed the week before.
Yes.
But other than that, the match was good. Like,
yes.
I'm being nitpicky on Mox, but if Mox is going to come across as this ass beater, he wears that death jiu-jitsu shirt, he wants you to be afraid of him. That's his gimmick right now. Like, you need to be afraid of this guy. And the first two forearms he gave to Lethal, and Lethal sold him good. Don't get me wrong. Lethal did nothing wrong here. You could they need to be a little stiffer. Not saying hurt the guy. They looked a little soft.
No, I agree. I agree with that. And
I'm picking apart little stuff just because that's how good Mox is, and you should hold Mox to a higher level.
And you were talking about his presentation with his, jiu-jitsu stuff. This might be unpopular, but I wish they'd bring back his original theme he had when he started in AEW. I mean, this Wild thing, it's been fun, but I still like his original theme better.
I can't
There was nothing real to it, but there was nothing crazy to it, no lyrics, but I just thought it fit him better. But whatever. I'm sure. I mean, I know the Wild thing cost a lot of money, so Tony's getting every dollar and cent out of it he can. So
get your money's worth, Tony.
Yep. But I did like this match. Lethal strategized and went after the leg majority of the match, but in the end, after Lethal kicked out from a paradigm shift and a King Kong lariat and a pile driver, Moxley immediately locked in the bulldog choke and made Lethal tap out, which it looked like Lethal was going to get out of that too. He was hammering down the leg, but then Mox really sunk it in and got the win. I mean, Mox submits more people than anybody in AEW. So
I thought it was a really, really good opening match. I thought these guys did a great job. Kicked off the show hot, had some good spots with both. And this poor kid was featured the rest of the night. if you noticed, when Mox went into the crowd over the guardrail, little kid wearing a red Under Armour shirt. Okay. Throughout the night, that kid was on TV more than Justin Roberts.
He was. Yeah, he got a lot of time tonight.
And towards the end there, I'm like, finally, in the middle, the kid was scared to death. And then towards the end, I think you realize, like, all right, they're not gonna like hurt me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But yeah, Mox goes over the guardrail right on this kid, and I'm guessing is his father or whatever, his lap, and like the father was confused of what to do. I have a feeling he landed on a adult beverage or two, which I would have been upset. Like I wouldn't have like hit Mox, but I'm like, dude, throw me a bone. Those are $20 a piece.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, good match, good opener. No history between those two guys, but I know we're in a round robin tournament right now, so you just got to roll with the punches.
Yep.
But yeah, good opener.
Yep. We then went backstage. Tony Schiavone's backstage, and we knew we were going to get a segment with him and Sting. Well, of course, Flair's there as well. Why wouldn't he be? Which he was.
Flair was a mess tonight.
He was awful tonight. He was.
I knew he's emotional. Okay, so I just gonna throw this out there. I have a feeling Flair is about 10 to 12 vodkas deep.
You can kind of tell.
Okay, and when you're 10 to 12 vodkas deep, I'm not talking from experience here, you get a little emotional. You think you're getting into it, but he started bringing up stuff from the 80s, the Greenboro Coliseum, and you could tell he was. If he didn't have sunglasses on, I bet you $100 bill, his eyes were watering up.
Yeah.
And it looked like he would struggle through the start of it, and then he would power out of it. He'd struggle again, power out of it. I love Ric Flair. Okay. The guy's on my route, my Mount Rushmore, right? He never will be taken off of it. Just maybe wasn't his best segment. And no. I'm gonna leave it at that. I thought Tony and Sting did good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Flair's looked better in the past. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. But basically, the big announcement was they finally announced where Revolution and Sting's last match are going to happen. It's Sunday, March 3rd at the Greensboro Coliseum. So I was close, but I was off. I thought it was going to be in Atlanta, but I did think it'd be somewhere WCW territory-ish. So what a fitting place for Sting to have his last match, and that should be fun.
And we go back into the 80s, a little bit before WCW. So this would have been for the Crockett Promotions, correct?
Crockett, yep. Yeah.
Which was a heyday back in the day. Which
let me see how I'm going to see what the capacity of that place is.
Could you imagine? And I know Flair always says the Marriott or the Hilton, but could you imagine in the 80s if it was the Marriott or the Hilton, whatever was closer to that Coliseum, the debauchery that happened at those hotels? Like I'm jealous. Like I'm jealous. Like I would love to just show up at the Greensboro Marriott and go to the bar and say, I'm gonna drink some kamikazes. I know Flair loved his kamikazes. He loves his vodka. He loves his tequila cranberry and sodas, which I haven't tried that yet, but we might. Because I love tequila, and I used to love
the
cranberry
capacity of this place. I knew they hold the ACC conference basketball tournaments there.
Which he brought up, which I thought was weird.
Yeah. He that's when I knew. I'm like, okay, he's out of it tonight because he's just so random. But this place holds over 35,000. This is a big place.
Does it really?
Yeah, I doubt the setup will be for that. But yeah, I'm looking at pictures of it. It's really big. Yeah.
35,000. So can they sell 20,000? They should be able to sell 20,000 tickets easily.
That would still be one of their bigger U.S. pay-per-views. So, But hey, if you promote it right, it can happen.
When did that building open? If you're looking up Wikipedia
Let's
stats on it.
see. It looks like it opened. It opened in 69, but it's been renovated 4 different times: 94, 05, 2013, and 2016. It actually
So,
opened in 1959, excuse me.
well, if it was renovated in '94, that was the middle of WCW. Like
Yeah.
Crockett and WCW paid for that renovation.
Yeah. And
So,
then it renovated again in 05, 2013, and 2016. And it's owned by the city of Greensboro. So
and does Connecticut run some shows there at all?
that's a good question. It's a good question. I'll have to look that up. I bet they do.
Especially if it's that big, that'd be a
Yeah.
SmackDown or Raw venue for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I bet they do. Because there's not too. I mean, besides that, Charlotte, but that's it for that. Raleigh. I know they run shows at Raleigh. I've seen
Yeah.
that before. So yeah, but yeah, good announcement. I think that's very fitting. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. Up next, match wise, we got our second match of the night: Mark Briscoe versus Roosh, part of the Continental Classic tournament. And I got to be honest, I missed a majority of this match. I saw the very ending, but I was doing something else when this match was on. Roosh was able to get the win with the bull's horn, but by the notes, it looks like it was a very back and forth match.
It was. Briscoe came out hot. Roosh came back. And let's go back to our young fan in the red Under Armour shirt. Roosh was pinned up against the guardrail, and Briscoe was laying some heavy, heavy chops in. And this kid was like this. Like, I don't know if he thought he was going to get chopped or whatever, but I'm like, I love the young fans' reaction. Towards the end, after about the third or fourth chop, I think he realized, like, okay, I'm not going to get hit. And he turned around and he had a big old grin on his face. Really, really, really cool to see that.
Probably his first show, or if not his first show, the first time he's been that close. So,
but yeah, sitting front row, having John Moxley come across into your lap, and then having Mark Briscoe chop Roosh literally 6 inches from you. Kid had a pretty good night. Not gonna lie.
yeah, it'll wake you up a little bit.
And then Swerve and Strickland. Or Swerve and Jay White got a little close as well.
Yeah,
Let's
yes,
just say that kid was back on camera. So,
yes, he was. Yes, he was.
But no, overall, good match. Back and forth, like kind of you said earlier. Mark hit the froggy bow again. He hit 2 moves on the outside of the rope, like he hit against Mox last week, where he landed on the floor, which they look like they freaking hurt. I know there's a little bit of padding there, but he hit those again, and then the sequence there at the end with Roosh, you just kind of knew it was done. And I mean, he took like 3 finishers, I feel like, from Roosh, just boom, 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 and it was done. And this is the Mark, the sentimental guy of me. Like, I don't want to see Mark Briscoe keep losing on TV.
Right.
I thought he had a shot against Roosh tonight. Didn't think he did last week against Mox. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I really don't. He's never been a singles guy. You know,
He doesn't want to tag with anybody else, though, understandably.
he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't want to jump back into a tag. So maybe he just tells Tony, like, look, throw me at the bottom and I'll just build myself up. And if that's what he's doing, then good for him. But you know, I don't know how it works the math. Can you take 2 losses and still advance out of your group?
I think you can, but like, because I think that's what Eddie Kingston. I don't see him going over Danielson Saturday.
See, I do.
And he'd have 2 losses, but then he could make a colossal comeback.
I do. After his promo,
that's finally one of the matches where I'm like this. Finally,
after his promo tonight, when he talked about being humble and victory or defeat, Danielson, I don't know how the hell this guy is going to wrestle Saturday night after
He is
his
superhuman.
orbital bone fracture in 2 places in surgery. Makes a comment like, I'm going to work. You just deal with the pain, right? And I'm like, your face can't be right.
No.
I don't know. I feel Eddie's got to go over on this one, and
Yeah.
it really doesn't hurt Danielson at all because he's got a fractured face, for crying out loud. So
Right.
I don't know. If you have these 2 belts on Eddie like you do right now, and you're going to combine them into one, you got to make him in the finals, don't you?
I would think so. Even if you have somebody else go over him, I think you have to have the current champion in the finals. But it's gonna be an interesting journey to get there. That's for sure. Because I didn't, and I'm not hating that they had Brody King go over. I like the House of Black. I like Brody King, but it surprised me that they had Brody go over. I mean, that was a great collision for the House of Black. You had Buddy, Buddy and Malachi, Julia and Brody all get wins. Pretty big night.
Yeah.
Which was the lowest collision rating ever, but it was going up against Survivor Series. So that was announced today. It was the lowest ever. So
Survivor Series had a lot of.
they had the highest viewership. But that just proves to me there's still a lot of crossover between fans. That just proves to me right there. I mean,
yeah, but you had so much. Speculation with Survivor Series. You know, Randy was coming back. You knew Randy was coming back.
yeah. Yep.
And then the way they debuted Punk was.
That was the reason I tuned in. I mean, I literally turned it on to watch the men's War Games match. I wanted to see Cody. I want to see Randy come back, and I want to see. We'll see if somebody else makes a return, and we'll get into it later. But by God, he did.
Yeah.
So then we had a really good promo from MJF tonight. I thought this was really good. He was talking about Samoa Joe. Doesn't like him as a person, but professionally, he respects him. What he's done for the industry. He talks about watching him in TNA back in the day, seeing him for the first time, viewing Joe as the baddest man on earth. Says, well, I like this. He took a shot at the WWE tonight, which I know a lot of people are like, why are they bringing it up? Well, it's the first time we've seen MJF kind of take a shot at them negatively. Says that his talents weren't recognized and didn't get a chance to be world champion in WWE, but he broke the mold and proved he doesn't need to be a bodybuilder, showed the alternatives matter. MJF said he's not too bad shabby himself. He names people he's had a face. He names Cody. He names Punk, Moxley, Kenny down the line. But the one name he feels lucky to have survived was Joe. He calls Joe wrestling legend, but on December 30th isn't about his legacy. It's about MJF's. Can he outlast the final boss one more time? He promises that it doesn't matter if his knee slides in and out or if his shoulder's hanging by a thread, which we found out he has a torn labrum and he's got to wrestle through it. He'll prove it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, and Joe will have to put him down. He then snaps his cane, but then the lights go out. They come back on, flashing inside the ring, and the masked figures appear with devil mask t-shirts, but then Joe comes out, makes the save before they can do any damage, and then the screen goes black, and I literally thought my TV froze. So I'm like, what the heck?
What was it? 15, 20 seconds?
Yeah, it was a while, and I'm like, okay, I'm expecting something to happen, but it's just black. Then finally a message comes up, and it asks if Max is the hero, if he will face the unknown in a tag team match. Max said he's not dealing with the devil's crap when he's got Joe breathing down his neck. He said he will unmask him, take out the henchmen one by one. He then accepts the challenge for the tag team match next week. So my question to you is not who is the devil, but who do you think could be some of the 4 henchmen? You got yourself muted. There you go. Still can't hear. I think you got yourself muted. I have a theory at least on 1 or 2 guys, but you might have muted on the back of it, Shep. I think there's a button. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. There you go. I gotcha.
Now you got me?
Yep.
Well,
Now your camera's off.
Yeah, well, I'll get the camera. Don't worry about that. You miss my pretty face. Could one of the henchmen be? Hold on, I'm trying to get these stupid headphones. There we go. Holy cow, that's loud.
There you go.
All right. This is really weird. Could one of them be Dolph Ziggler?
Could be.
Or hold on, Nick Nemeth.
Could be because his contract will be up next month, but that would go again. They could be sources could be lying to Fightful, but Fightful's reported the guys behind the masks right now are the guys. I don't know.
Well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out too, guys, next week.
Yeah, we are. I assume that's what it means. It was kind of left in the dark there, but I think one of them is Wardlow because one of them is pretty big, and if Wardlow went against AR Fox tonight, and if you see, and I know other people know on Twitter, did you see how messed up Wardlow's hair was at the beginning of that match?
I didn't think one of those guys is as big as Wardlow.
Well, the guy Joe pulled out was a pretty big guy. And another reason I thought, well, like I said, Wardlow's hair was pretty messed up. If you're wearing a ski mask, pull it off real quick before a match, might mess your hair up a little bit.
What about? And this is a weird coincidence. They had a flat back baseball bat in their hand. There's two guys that use a black baseball bat. We know it's not Sting,
right?
And the guy was not bow-legged and crippled like Jericho, but the devil wasn't there,
right? I saw an interesting conspiracy theory tonight on Twitter, and they brought up good points. Somebody's just sticking with MJF as the devil because he said we've never seen a devil in MJF in the same place, and we've never seen these henchmen attack MJF yet. Looked like they were going to tonight, but they never threw a punch.
No, Joe made the save quick.
Yeah.
But if you notice, MJF was taking the match. Joe didn't want no part of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just real weird. I mean, because this person was also saying, well, somebody saying, yeah, but they're beating up people that are close to MJF. They're like, no, they beat up Jay White, but then they beat up the Acclaim that are close to MJF. And then, they kind of coax Joe to coming out. So it's kind of like they're beating people up for MJF in a way.
So yeah. Not only am I going to be your scumbag, I'm going to be your devil.
Yeah. AEW's got to get this right. No matter what it is, they cannot miss this.
So, and we can talk about it later after the show, but this is one of the few things right now that they got into a long-term storytelling.
Right.
I feel like half the show has some long-term storytelling and half the show doesn't. Okay with that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this is this is a story that could go on for a while, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because we have the right people in place for it.
Mm-hmm. I'm just afraid if MJF really is real banged up, can he go past World's End and still be the title, or they got to swerve or pivot and put it on Joe for a little bit? I don't know.
They made a comment about his shoulder, that he was going to do rehab instead of surgery.
Right.
That came out Monday or Tuesday?
Yep.
Monday. Today's Wednesday.
Yep.
He deleted the tweet. You would think he would need at least 2 weeks of physical therapy, but he's going to turn around and try to work through it next week. Now, it doesn't mean we'll see a lot of him in the ring.
Right.
But.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. interesting to watch. But now I was just talking about Wardlow. He came out for a match against AR Fox, which was set up because they got into a backstage altercation not too long ago. Or Wardlow headbutted the dude when he was just trying to talk to him. AR Fox got a little offense in, hit Wardlow with a big boot, and dove to the outside to attack him. But then he tried to do a flip off the turnbuckle. Wardlow caught him instead, slammed him onto the ring apron. Fox threw him into the ring, or he threw Fox into the ring. The bell started. And then what we did see Fox nail like 450 splash, but Wardlow kicked out at one. But then Wardlow nailed a few power bombs, followed up with a senton bomb, which he does such a pretty senton bomb for a big athletic dude. Hit another power bomb, and the ref called the match off. No pin, no nothing, just done. So,
which
kind of a glorified squash, kind of.
Yeah. I don't know why they want to protect him, but they want to give AR Fox a little bit of a protection here. I like AR Fox, but I think he's more suited to be on ROH.
Yep, I agree.
Obviously, he's a hell of a trainer. He's trained some really, really good professional wrestlers. He's a good in-ring performer. But with the star power AEW has, I see a very, very slim bracket for him to be in a Dynamite or a Collision. You know, maybe a good spot for him is every once in a while on a Rampage, but predominantly on ROH.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Speaking of ROH, we saw some talent coming up next that have been in ROH, and a guy who's returned for the first time since March. Great to see him back. That's Dante Martin with his brother Darius Martin and Action Andretti. So Top Flight versus the Hardy Party, which is Matt and Jeff Hardy and brother Zay. So I was excited for this match. That's a bunch of high flyers together. And in the end, we saw Top Flight get the win. With Dante planting Zay down to the mat with the pinfall. So good win for them. As far as the Hardys are concerned, they take a lot of L's, and that's fine. They're older veterans giving the untalented the rub and the push, putting them over. But I would like to see them change their gimmick one more time for one last run. Maybe go heelish or something, or maybe try that broken stuff again.
Heel if you're going to do it, and it's got to be Broken Matt and Brother Nero.
Yeah.
I mean, tonight, I fast forward through more of this match than I did the women's match.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against the Hardys. Love the Hardys. I watched many, many matches and can appreciate the hell out of them. I don't know if Matt can go like he can. I mean, I just watched the way he walks. It looks like it's painful.
It does, doesn't it?
Okay. So again, uber amount of respect for those guys. But this was the right outcome to this match. You got three young talent that if you were going to invest in these guys, this was the right move. It was again, unannounced match. I looked at the card at 3:00 this afternoon, I think, and this wasn't on there.
I think he announced it like at 5 or 6 tonight. So
yeah, I watched a little bit of it. Fast forward through most of it. Watched the ending. Last probably 2-3 minutes of it. Again, it was okay. It was Dante Martin's hometown.
Yep.
So he got the pin and got the pop. So good for him.
Yep, and I'd like to see them start using Action Andretti a little more. I mean, the kid, all three of us had big expectations for him in 2023. He was all on our. I think we all had him winning some type of gold in 2023, and that just hasn't happened because he beat Jericho late last year and was getting a little push, and then it just kind of cooled off.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Towards the end of the year when we made those predictions, you're thinking, "Holy cow! He just went over Jericho. They're gonna put their rocket in this guy's rear end." And then he just kind of fizzles, and that is the problem. And and I'll be the first to admit it, is I look at this stuff and I'm a fan, and this is not a profession for me like a Dave Meltzer or a Fightful guy, right? Like this is fun for me,
We're
right?
fans. We're fans. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're fans. Yep.
So I'm thinking, oh man, look, they're going to do this. So yeah, my predictions might be a little bit off because I'm thinking, well, he just went over Jericho. Holy shnikes, right? But hey, he's still in the company. He's still getting a match or two a month on Dynamite. We still see him on Rampage. We still see him on Collision every once in a while. So
Yeah.
obviously he's doing okay, and he's in his mid-20s. So
Yeah, he's got a bright future, but I think we all thought he was going to be fast tracked a little faster than he was, but that's all right. I do like, however, the backstage segment where they were going to talk to Top Flight about their win. We see Penta come up because he's the one, remember, that broke accidentally in the spot, broke Dante's leg back in March. So he gives him knuckles, and then we see he and Commander and Vikingo in the Top Flight. I'm like, that's a trios match I could just watch all day long. That's going to be athletes flips and flops all over the place.
you're going to see more flips than a freaking waffle or a pancake house.
More flips than an IHOP.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's more. You see more pirates there, but
that's true.
it's an IHOP.
That's true. But yeah. We then got the lone women's match of the night. Julia Hart defending her TBS championship against Emi Sakura, who's been getting a lot more TV time in the last few months on AEW. Fine match. I mean, there was no doubt about the result. End result, Julia Hart went over with a good moonsault. She does a beautiful moonsault. So she wins. I don't know who could be a real contender for that title right now because I think Julia's going to have it for a little while.
I think Emi Sakurai is buying Julie Hart, or I'm going to rephrase this. Julia Hart's buying Emi Sakurai a sake tonight because that moonsault, Sakurai moved in mid-flight to catch her.
Right.
She was way too close.
Experience.
She was way too close to the turnbuckle when she did that. And it didn't look fluid on TV. It's because Sakurai said, I should do this. And she did it. And the way the camera shifted or whatever, it looked okay. But you could tell Julia had her way too close. So, yeah, kudos to Emi right now. So hopefully Julie's buying her some sake. And I'm not trying to – I'm guessing she drinks sake, right? I would love to have some sake right now.
I assume so.
So,
and speaking of the women's division, I saw an interesting tweet, and I retweeted it from our Twitter account at Kicking Out Pod on Twitter. If you're not following us already, Dr. Britt Baker, who we haven't seen in a long time, she tweeted tonight an interesting thing. MJF live promo time 7 minutes. Christian Cave live promo time, which we're getting into here in a bit, 10 minutes. All of 2023 AEW Dynamite Britt Baker live promo time 0 minutes. That's hard to believe.
That is hard to believe.
And we're pretty much in December. That's your strongest woman on the mic right there, or one of your strongest. And that just messed up right there. I mean, no excuse. We then see Mariah May backstage with our RJ City. She says she's dying to show AEW what she can do, and she heads into Tony Khan's office, pretty much. All right.
Did you, and I know Tony Khan would never play this type of character on television. Did you get any Vince McMahon, Trish Stratus vibes here? Like,
I did not. Because I just don't view Tony like that.
Tony would never be that way. But the way she talked on the mic, I don't know if she tried to be seductive or whatever.
Yeah.
And the way she left it with RJ City, and she just was like, he's like, do your thing, like, go for it. Like, made me think, like, man, this is Vince McMahon, Trish Stratus stuff back in the Attitude Era. But Tony Khan would have none of that, I'm pretty sure.
No, he wouldn't. And I forgot, it wasn't in my notes, but Tony Storm, we did see a segment with her and Luta tonight too. But don't have much to go over with that.
The Tony Storm segment was actually I thought was great. And RJ City, who is a independent wrestler who was known for tagging with David Arquette, if I believe.
I believe you're correct.
I think he's pretty good on these backstage segments.
He's found his role with it,
Yeah.
and he does a popular stuff on YouTube with AEW. So
Yeah. So I thought it was a pretty good thing. I loved how Tony Storm kicked her legs up on him, made him she made him take his shoes off, and I really love this character by Tony Storm. I really it's over the top, it's obnoxious, it's just everything we love in professional wrestling.
Yep. She has struck gold with it. It's very fascinating, very creative too. Very creative. Something we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So up next, we got the last segment before the main event. This was, it was the title of our episode tonight. Christian Cage has the ring. He has several security members around him. He calls out Adam Copeland. So eventually he comes out after a while. Christian claims management wanted him to have security, but he doesn't think they need them. And he asks them to vacate the ring. He said they're not going to make it to Montreal because he is sorry. Christian says everyone is thinking he's only sorry because he's on the island by himself. And he brings up Kill Switch, which I cannot get used to that being Luchasaurus' new name, which he accidentally said Luchasaurus, and the crowd made him hear. The crowd made him hear it. He talks about Kill Switch, and he said after Edge, there we go. After Adam Copeland beat him up the other night, he had to go for a drive. He reflect on their friendship and how they became the best tag team ever. Multi-time world champions, points out that Copeland didn't have a father figure growing up, claims he was a brother to him, and his own father brought him in instead. Christian says he loves Copeland and their family. He said it was the hardest time of Copeland's life when his mother passed away, and he told him that she'd like to see them to team one more time, and Christian said that they should do it for her. However, Christian goes to hit Copeland with the TNT title, but Copeland sees it coming, nails the low blow. Copeland tells Cage to sleep. He says, "Nice try, dumbass," which was just great how he said it. Says, "Sleep with the title, shine it up real nice, because next week she's coming home with him." And then horrible dump button job by TNT, by TBS, by the way. They missed it by 2 seconds. But he gets on the mic and says, "Go fuck yourself."
I was shocked because we didn't get the muted version because there's a delay.
Oh yeah.
So whoever's on the button was not 2 or 3 seconds behind.
Because we got the delay. We got the delay, but it was way.
Yeah, they were 5 or 6 seconds behind.
Yep. But man, I know a lot of people have been dragging this Adam Copeland stuff through the mud on the internet, but I love the passion and the edginess he's been showing the last 2 weeks.
I love the segment. I thought Christian talked a little bit too much.
Sure.
He rambled on a little bit. But again, I love the segment. I thought the 5 security guards that were protecting him, they couldn't protect you against a golden retriever. I think even Excalibur Tony made a comment like, "What's the guy doing wearing jeans?" Like when he got in the ring, like there's a guy wearing jeans. And then I'm like, well, what the hell, guys? There's a guy wearing sweatpants like 2 doors down, the bald guy with the mustache, which he looks familiar. I'm sure he's some independent wrestler I've stumbled across. He looked familiar. But good segment. Could have been a little bit shorter in my mind. And hey, I can completely appreciate the guy who's on the button missing that because I think it hits harder. I know the arena gets it, but that's only a certain amount of people. Now the whole AEW crowd got it live.
Yep.
And hey, if Pat McAfee can say the F-bomb on ESPN repeatedly every day, TBS, you're good to go.
Yep, I agree. And the only thing I don't like about this, and I understand why they're doing it, it's the first time they're in Montreal, which of course Canada, Christian and Adam, both from Canada, going to try to pop a rating, which will be the main event next week. I get it for the TNT title, get it. I wanted this to be pay-per-view. They haven't touched yet. I think they're kind of spoiling it on a Dynamite. But with that said, I could see this being a series. There could be a screwy finish or something next week. Then we get the payoff at World's End. So,
and I'm okay with that. But
yeah.
Tony Khan has a history of putting a match like this on television instead of pay-per-view. And at first, it was because Tony Khan only ran 4 pay-per-views a year. Okay. And then he started to run more. So, and I think this will get into a discussion about a professional wrestler that has left AEW this week. Whether it's a big match, we're right off the bat and we don't see anything after the fact, or it is a build to a story down the road. I want to say it's a build, but I can also see Tony Khan having a one big off match, try to draw some ratings, and then moving the guys on down the road.
Yeah.
He's done both. He keeps us on our toes. So,
and I think he wants to put a title on Adam Copeland because the WWE did not put a title on him in his latest run with them. So,
yeah, but
maybe not right now, but eventually.
Okay, let's put Edge back in WWE right now.
Right.
Of course, this is a bad example. I'm thinking, could he take it off of Gunther? But let's could Edge beating Dominic Mysterio for the North American title, would that do anything for Edge's legacy?
No, not at all.
Okay, and I'm not putting the TNT title on the North American Championship, but they're pretty damn close, guys. So does it do anything for Adam Copeland?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't do anything for his legacy.
Yeah. So
no, but it doesn't really do anything for Christian's legacy either. But he's been.
He didn't win it though. He didn't win the damn thing.
He did this past time.
Yeah, he didn't win the damn thing.
Yeah, he did.
I know, but he didn't initially win the damn thing.
He didn't initially, but then he did.
He took it off of Luchasaurus Kill Switch Dino Douche.
Yes, and then he pinned him at the pay-per-view. So, yeah.
I know.
But, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Then we got the main event tonight, Jay White, Swerve Strickland, Continental Classic match. I was really looking forward to this match. These guys are so good. Both of them. So good. Like you said, there was a spot where they went up over the guardrail. The little guy in the red Under Armour got action right in his face again. A lot of back and forth here. We saw some DDTs. We saw the I forget what he called it when Swerve does the gun segment and does that with the arm. I forget what they call that. Saw that. Saw Swerve Stomp. Saw kill shot. There we go. Kill shot. Yeah.
Kill shot. Yeah.
Because White then after the kill shot, White got sent towards the official, but because that's how he beat Roosh, was the official distracted, low blow. But Swerve saw it coming, nailed a kick to the head, hit the Swerve Stomp, but Jay White kicked out, and that was a great false finish. I thought it was over then. I think everybody thought it was over then. White then hit a Blade Runner, but Swerve rolled out of the ring, stopped the pinfall. Back inside the ring, he looked to hit it again, but Swerve reversed it with a pinfall, catching White for the 1, 2, 3.
Great match.
Mm-hmm.
Great paper. Yeah, it was a pay-per-view-esque match. I know they were only 18, 17 minutes. I know there's a 20-minute time limit in these matches. These guys should have been, if they're on a pay-per-view, they should have been 30 to 40 minutes, but enjoy them both. I am becoming more and more of a Swerve fan. At first, I didn't care for him when he had Baby Brock and all those guys behind him.
That was real bad.
I didn't care for him there.
Drench, whatever his name was.
The baseball player that decided to tattoo his freaking face.
Yeah, they got released.
Go back to hitting AA home runs, you squirrel. And then Baby Brock, whatever the hell what
Parker Boudreaux.
Yeah, didn't like him either. He's
still on the roster. He's still on the roster, but they're not doing anything with him.
Yeah, well, he sucks. Anyways, love him more. I'll tell you, Prince Nana, that dude just
On the crutch.
he cracks me up. Like, good for him. And
Yeah.
I think I sent you and Paul gift or whatever.
Mhm.
Back in the day, like when ROH was in a gym, like Prince Nana could go in the ring. Like
He was built like a mini Bobby Lashley.
I was gonna say a powerhouse Hobbs or a Big E is what he reminded me of.
Yeah.
And like they were showing some footage of him, like that dude could go. So that made me like him a little bit more. And then just him being an annoying little shit now makes me like him. But yeah, good match, good main event. This was actually a great main event. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was two spots of this whole segment or show, I'm sorry, that I didn't care for. But other than that, they started hot, they finished hot.
Yep, and Swerve's getting that push. I mean, Tony's seeing it, of course, put him in the right spots, listen to the fans. Swerve's about to have a big 2024.
Well, hey, Swerve and MJF,
Money.
The darkness that Swerve brings.
Oh my God,
the darkness. Yeah. And he can talk. Okay.
Yeah, he can. Mm-hmm.
He's a different type of talker than MJF. Not saying one's better than the other, but they have a different style.
Right.
So as long as they could make those styles mesh, the in-ring work is, we don't even need to talk about that. We know what's going to happen there. But as long as they can do that, yeah, middle of 2024, we should see those two guys.
Yep, I agree 100% with that. Yes, there was another thing I was going to say about that, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, no, I know. Yeah, overall solid show, I thought. I think AEW did what they needed to do in response to everything. That will just stick with your plan, put your blinders on, focus on your talent, just keep moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. Don't.
You cannot bring in any signee that would compare to what CM Punk's return was. There's nobody you could realistically bring in. And they have enough. They don't need anything like that anymore. Just focus on your talent, build good stories, put good matchups together, and just get hot again. I mean, they just got to focus on themselves.
There's nobody available out there that could counteract what had happened. I don't care if you're talking New Japan or guys that have released. And don't be wrong, I think Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth is a great talent, a great performer. Unfortunately, he's not on the level. He's not going to bring you the ratings, the attractions, the social media clicks, social media downloads, whatever the hell they called them. That Punk got 71 million of or 78 million of. It's just not going to happen. So hey, stay in your lane. Put on a great television show, a 2-hour television show. You threw some awesome wrestling on television tonight. And hey, let's be honest. If you decided to start watching professional wrestling 5 years ago and you only watched cable television and your main event tonight was Jay White and Swerve Strickland, that was a treat to you. Because back in the day, you were not going to see that in any television show. Okay? Because, I mean, I know New Japan ran a television show with Cuban's thing, but more than likely you didn't subscribe to it. So
Right.
Yeah.
We're very spoiled.
We're very spoiled since Tony Khan decided to dip into his pockets and start his own promotion.
Yep.
So.
Yep. 100%. So what was your rating for tonight's show?
I really enjoyed tonight's show. I'm getting into the Continental Classic. At first, I'm kind of like, oh, this is a ripoff of the G1, which kind of is.
It kind of is.
Kind of is. But I'm getting into it now. I thought the 3 matches we got were great. I thought some backstage segments tonight were really good. I love the Tony Storm segment. I love the Eddie Kingston promo. Even though Flair might have been intoxicated, bless his heart, I'm not going to hold that against you, big guy. I kind of maybe give you a little bonus points for that, big guy. Anyways, yeah, there was a couple things I didn't care for, but other than that, I love the show tonight. I'm going 7.9.
7.9. That is a high rating for Shep. If
It
you guys are new to the pod, but and no Elite tonight, no Bucks, no Hangman, no Omega, no Jericho, so no Golden Jets. But we'll see them, I'm sure. And that's one thing I've noticed. AEW is getting away from advertising too many matches a week in advance. We just know one match next week from Dynamite.
Yeah, and we had, as of 8 o'clock this morning, we had 3. We had the 3 Continental Classic matches. We knew Edge was going to speak, and we knew MJF was going to speak, and that was it.
Right.
You know, some of the dirt sheets that put their open forums and stuff on that, which I like to follow. Like, yeah, I'm sitting here drinking my coffee this morning. No, I don't put any whiskey or Bailey's in my coffee. But I'm sitting there drinking some coffee this morning. That's the first thing I pull up on my phone. And I'm like, shit, there's only 3 matches announced tonight. And yeah, we're going to hear from Adam. We're going to hear from MJF. I kind of like that. I don't disagree with it. Because guess what? You know those 3 matches and those 2 segments aren't going to take 2 hours of time. So you're like, what else is going to happen? So,
right.
Yeah. Here we go. I'm gonna tune in.
Yep. And Collision, I mean, Eddie and Brian, that's gonna bang on Saturday.
That will be the hardest chop fest we've seen, and we've seen some chop fest. Okay, let's be honest. Who drew?
We saw Danielson and Harwood live in Dynamite last year.
Yeah, but
that was a chop fest.
Who just drew blood on Harwood? Chopping him 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks.
Brody.
Brody. Was it?
I think it was Brody.
He
or it might have been Roosh. It was one of those two.
I think it was Roosh. Roosh.
Yeah.
He chopped him so hard he drew blood. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. 7-9. Solid show. Especially with what the hell is going on around him.
I agree. I'm gonna go just below you, and I just so I can, because I want you to be the high guy tonight.
Which is probably never happened if we could ever go back.
I don't think so. But I'm right around you. I'm going 7-7. I don't really have any complaints. That's still a good score. I think AEW did what they needed to do tonight in response to everything. Just no really shots tonight. Just stick with your game plan. You know, WWE has no PLE in December. Of course, Rumble to Mania is their huge season, and they're going to have headlines in December anyways because of the events that have happened lately. But AEW's got a pay-per-view at the end of December, so just keep chugging towards that. Keep telling good stories. Build towards it. Got a month to go.
Which we had a month, but this happened last week, so you're going to have 5 weeks to build your main event, which is Joe and MJF.
Yep.
And I think that right now they're on the track to do it correctly. We're going to get them in a tag match next week.
That's another match. I forgot we're doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Against this random devil faction or whatever, which I love. So you're keeping them relevant, even though we're not going to see the payoff for another month. Love it.
Yep. Wrestler of the night.
Man, I got a tough one here. I almost didn't want to go with the wrestler, but I'm going to go with the wrestler. I'm going to go with Roosh, okay? I'm going to go with Roosh, even though I'm a Mark Briscoe fan. I wanted to see him go over tonight. I thought he put on a hell of a match. I thought Mark Briscoe took it to him. If you looked at his chest at the end of the match, there was tons of blood vessels that were popped. I like Roosh. I wish he could talk a little bit more, but I'm sure they're working on that. But yeah, and this one's out of left field because I had it set that I was going with another guy, but I just really enjoyed that match tonight, so I'm going with Roosh.
I like it. I think everybody's expecting me to go with Swerve. I pick Swerve all the time, so I'm not doing that. I'm actually going to pick a guy who didn't wrestle tonight. That's Adam Copeland. Loved his promo tonight. Love that segment with Christian, and I was excited for this match anyways, but tonight's segment got me even more excited. So
the guy that I wanted to pick that didn't wrestle tonight was MJF. I thought
crossed my mind too.
I thought the promo he cut about Samoa Joe was great, respectful, and then he turns around at the last minute and just turns it a little bit. But as a experienced pro as Joe is, I think he could appreciate what MJF did. So loved it. Love that segment. Probably maybe one of my favorite segments of the night besides the actual wrestling. But yeah, other than that, Roosh is my guy. MJF would have been a close second. I was on the fence there, as you could tell. But again, solid show, especially after what we witnessed last week.
Well, let's get right into it. Let's jump down a rabbit hole here. I mean, we're an AEW focused podcast made by AEW fans for AEW fans. But like I always say, we talk about other promotions from time to time, especially when there's something huge that happens. And this particular talent was just formerly in AEW. That's Mr. CM Punk, Phil Brooks, Pepsi Phil, whatever you want to call him. He made his long-awaited, shocking return to WWE over the weekend at Survivor Series All-State Arena in Chicago. First time back in WWE since 2014 when he exited after the Royal Rumble. Kind of like everybody's saying, hell froze over. It's a day a lot of us, I don't think, ever thought we were going to see.
No, we didn't, but I predicted it.
You did. You did. You were beating that. And I even text you guys. I'm like, it's not happening at Survivor Series. I didn't buy into it.
I just feel like Triple H knew it was lightning in a bottle. We're in Chicago. He knows we're going to be in Chicago. Let's back up a couple weeks because they said it happened within the last 10 to 14 days of Survivor.
Yeah, they said it happened very quick.
You know you're going to be in Chicago. Punk is over in Chicago. It's his hometown.
He could run for mayor.
He could run for mayor. It's worth a phone call. And the phone call lasted an hour, we heard. And it was so secretive that the men's War Game match, as I'm guessing they're in Gorilla, they get a little bit of an announcement, hey, Punk's going to make an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Which made some really, really good reactions, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
It was done, and again, we're a AEW podcast, right?
Yes.
But it was done almost perfectly.
Oh, they had me. Triple H did the spot he's done before. I recall him doing it again in a takeover, Ciampa and Gargano. It's the only other time I recall, but he likes doing it once in a while, where he calls for the copyright. He calls for the disclosure. Comes up, so you think, okay, they're signing off.
It's in the bottom right. It's in the bottom right corner.
It's signing off, but then that Cult of Personality, the remastered version by Living Color, goes on. That place fucking exploded.
Yeah, and it's Chicago. It was, and the reaction of Michael Cole was awesome. Yeah. Michael Cole, and people can dog on him. I used to dog on him back in the day.
I did too.
But the older I get, because I'm a very mature guy, right? You know,
the maturest of the pod. Maybe you might be actually.
That's a fucking compliment. Okay. I thought it was my most generous of the pod. But anyways, like the older I get, the more I think Michael Cole is literally one of the GOATs.
He's a pro's pro.
Yeah. And like he fed into it. Corey Graves fed off of Michael Cole. So again, it goes back to Michael Cole. And then watching the other performers, the other wrestlers, I'm not going to call them superstars because we're KOP. We're not WW Connecticut like Tanner's uncle. I love the little, I love the little interaction between Randy Orton and Punk.
Yeah, the waves,
and Punk did that.
Piss Rollins off. Even though I think he's working, but still,
Rollins is cussing up a storm, trying to. Which, come on, some of those officials are not going to hold Rollins back.
Michael Cole and Corey Graves aren't holding him back.
They're not holding him back. No.
Rhea's reaction was good too. I don't know if you saw that on social media.
She could give two shits.
Oh, she's funny. She could
give two shits. She's like, what is this? Like, I'm over it. It was done great. They had you, and if you're a professional wrestling fan, and you look at any social media, which I'm guessing 99% of the wrestling fans do. You walked into the Allstate Arena. Is it Allstate Arena?
Yes.
Used to be the Rosemont Horizon, right? That the old Bull Stadium.
Yes, correct.
You walked into that arena going, this ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen.
Right.
All the dirt sheets say it. All my guys say it. Look, they haven't been talking. It's done. And then it happens. I mean, that was professional wrestling. Let me rephrase it. That was modern day professional wrestling played to a key.
Yep.
Because in 1990, you would not have to worry about Twitter,
right?
X, whatever.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, whatever. You would not have to worry about a Dave Meltzer, any type of Fightful. It just didn't happen. So you could do that. But I don't know if it would have the same effect as well.
And I will say this is what I love about professional wrestling, no matter the promotion. It was one of those goosebump moments that just gave me chills. Like, I mean, with pop of the crowd, it was a huge event. I mean, that if you can't get into that, I don't care what promotion is your favorite, but if you can't get in that moment, you shouldn't be watching. You shouldn't be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, no, it was.
I'm sorry.
It was good. Now, let's go to the.
Let's go to Monday.
I was going to go. I was going to go before the negative Monday. How does this affect WrestleMania 40?
I think you have your night 1 and night 2 main events set now.
Oh, okay, Dave LaGreca.
I thought, hey, everybody can. I did a podcast by myself on Monday and before Monday Night Raw in reaction to my thoughts on Punk returning, what we could expect, and I even predicted on there. So before LaGreca even.
So you and LaGreca are on the same page.
Yes.
I respect LaGreca. Don't get me wrong. I think he's awesome.
Yeah.
But the guy I listened to that I did not expect this to come out of his mouth was Tommy Dreamer.
I heard this today.
And I think even Bully Ray was a little bit taken back. But Tommy Dreamer wants Roman versus Punk. And he made the analogy of the top guy all of a sudden, that Punk is 1, Cody is 2, and Jey Uso is 3. When it comes to top guys. And it's hard to disagree with Tommy Dreamer because Tommy Dreamer has more wrestling knowledge in his brain than I do, or he has more wrestling knowledge in his left pinky toe than I do in my whole body.
Yeah.
Okay. Respect the hell out of the guy. So when I'm listening to him today, it gets me turning like, oh fuck, he knows more than me. Like he says you got to do this. He says probably part of the negotiation was a main event at WrestleMania or a world title reign. I mean, he's throwing all these things out. And Bully Ray, I love Bully Ray's reaction. I think those guys are great together. And then you got LaGreca, who is just a nut job.
LaGreca rants are the best.
Yes, they're almost as good as my rants.
Almost.
We haven't had a rant in a while.
Haven't.
But yeah.
If I had the pencil, I'm doing Rollins, Punk for the title night 1, Cody Roman night 2.
Which is what LaGreca said.
Yeah. And I know some people want Rollins, Punk at the Rumble, but I have Punk in the Rumble. And we already know Cody's in the Rumble. Even though Cody and Nakamura are going to have this weird feud before, which is weird.
So you're on the LaGreca side. So are you going to show up next week and eat pierogies?
Probably not, but hey, I don't mind pierogies, so you never know.
What's LaGreca's wife name? Violetta.
Violetta.
He always talks about Violetta's pierogi. Yeah. If you need to wear a shirt that says I like Violetta's pierogi next week.
Oh, that would go great with my wife. So yeah, I should.
No, your wife needs to realize this is kayfabe. Come on.
Kayfabe. She didn't even know what that means. But
yeah.
No, it's interesting though. I think Roman's next feud at the Rumble will be Randy. I think Randy Orton, who I'm a big Randy Orton fan, always have been. Guy looks like $1 million. Now that he's back, looks chiseled as ever. And I was glad to see him move so well. I mean, I was kind of nervous with his back, but he was hitting the DTs, the RKOs like it was nothing.
And he's ripped.
Yeah,
he's big.
I think that's the next feud with Roman. But then Roman, of course, got to have it going into Mania. But I just think you have to have Cody versus Roman. You have to finish the story.
What if this whole time Cody is going? Let's make him believe this. But I don't want to finish the story.
Oh, and he could lose again. He could lose it again.
He goes, I don't want to upstage my dad.
Could be.
I want to get over, and I want to draw as much money as I can. And I want to have the best storyline in the world. But I don't want to upstage my father. My father that I look up to, that the only reason I'm doing this is because of him. But I don't want to upstage him.
But do you think if Cody doesn't win the title at WrestleMania, that some of the fans start to turn on him and get impatient? Smart ones shouldn't, but I could see some of them doing that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with if he doesn't go over, if he goes down the line that he could, saying, hey, look, I don't, and this is all backstage stuff, right? Like, look, I don't want to upstage my father, right? I want to go over, but not do it. Like, best of both worlds, right? So after WrestleMania, he's got to figure out something. And whether he's okay being a mid-carder then, or one of those main eventers that just doesn't ever get the win, that's okay. And maybe he's okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate to see that. Like the fan of me wants Cody to make a run. But I could also see a purist like him going, I don't want to upstage my father.
Yep.
And if that's the case, that's a whole nother freaking story.
That's a whole nother podcast.
and
But
I'm empty.
yeah, I got one more thought with the Punk stuff. Then we can put a bow on it for the night. But um, it is too bad, for this to happen. I'm sure he and Triple H had to talk through a lot of things, bury a lot of hatchets, because he said a lot of awful things and took a lot of digs at the WWE the past decade, and he said a lot of awful things about Triple H too. If you go back to that podcast with Cabana that started the whole lawsuit, he said a lot of awful things about Triple H, not just Vince. Which if Vince was in the cycle right now, this return would have never happened in the first place. Triple H always makes things work out. The return of Bruno, the return of Warrior, all Triple H, not Vince. So where I'm going with this is, so they sit down man to man, hash things out. It's still too bad looking back on it because I wish it would have worked out with AEW that Tony Khan didn't put big boy pants on, make everybody get in a room together, and even when the cracks in the foundation were forming with Hangman before the brawl out even happened, it's too bad they just couldn't have had a conversation and smoothed everything over. But
It
is what it
is.
is.
It is, but I think there's more to it than that. And I think Tony Khan's a very, very powerful man because he writes the checks. But I think with him starting this company with the foundation guys he did,
Right.
I think he gave them the mindset that they had a little bit more power than they should.
I think you're right.
And I'm not trying to harp on the Bucks. I'm not trying to harp on Hangman.
Right.
But they're younger than Punk. They have not had at the time, they had not had the stardom, even though they were stars in New Japan, 70,000 people in the Tokyo Dome, ROH, traveling all over the world. They still didn't have the stardom that Punk did.
Right.
So to put those two guys, those two personalities into a room, I can understand the conflict.
Yeah.
Understand it 100%.
And,
So it's not a fault on Tony Khan because Tony Khan wanted the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And don't worry, I want my cake and I want to eat it too.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it just blows up in front of you. I mean, let's be honest. Tony Khan shot a shot. You can't harp on him on that.
He still brought him back to professional wrestling after a 7-year absence. So
I mean, obviously he's a hell of a salesman.
Yep. And I will say on Punk's promo on Raw, which I watch more Raw on Monday than I have in years, and don't care for the overall product. Still can't do it every week. Kudos to people who do. It's just not my thing. I can't stand a million camera cuts Kevin done. Just a lot of it's fabricated. But I stayed up to watch it, and I'm sorry. I mean, if he was genuine with it, and good for him. Glad he got off his chest. But I didn't believe a lot of the words that he said. He said he was home and this and that.
Yeah, that
didn't seem genuine to me.
That promo was scripted.
The most genuine, authentic thing he said, he looked at the camera. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money.
And he knows that was at the camera, not with a microphone.
Yep. And he didn't take any digs at AEW, which I was expecting, but I'm not surprised after I've thought about it because they don't want them ever mentioning AEW on television. And I honestly think Punk and AEW both, and there's legally, I don't think they can talk about each other. I honestly think there's a lot of legal issues. Both sides just need to move on. Stop talking about it and just move on. That's the best for everybody.
Yeah. No, it was, it was short. I don't know if it was sweet.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, but
yeah, it was not the Punk we saw in AEW.
Nope.
So.
Nope. Well, in AEW's run, that's what I was saying. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. It was pretty short. Had some sweet moments, but had some bad moments, and just a lot of what could have been. But is what it is. Let's see if he can stay out of trouble in the WWE. Because let's be honest, if he gets in trouble here, he's done. He's done.
Yeah, there was a rumor going around that a part of his contract was a behavior clause. So if he decides to get a little out of character, I guess they have a little leverage over him.
Well, and if he does get out of character or cause some backstage problems, business wise, they're as hot as they've ever been. They could just yank him and go back right where they were before they signed him.
Yeah,
You know, I mean,
looking at all that, this is the biggest Survivor Series they've ever
yep,
had, biggest social media clicks they've ever had, biggest
yep,
merch sales they've ever had.
yep.
Uh, they made a little
That
money. They made a little money.
they're doing hot business, and that's one thing I said when I did the little short one-off podcast about Punk. I said, as much as I like AEW, they're not in a spot where they were 2 years ago in 2021. When they were creeping up on WWE, they're well behind now, and that's fine. Like we said tonight, I think tonight's show did a good job of it. They just got to stick in their lane, follow through with their plan, focus on themselves.
Yep, and they will get clicks. They will get merch sales. They will do just fine.
Yep.
They have their own fan base. They need to cater to their fan base, and
Yes.
not. And I don't want to make them sound like a second class citizen, but they don't need to try to compete with Connecticut right now.
Be the alternative that you set
Yes.
out to be in the beginning.
Yep. So.
Yep. Get back to your roots a little bit.
Yep.
So, yep. Anything else you want to hit on, Shep? I think we've covered quite a bit tonight.
No, it was a fun last 5-6 days of being a professional wrestling fan. I really enjoyed it. Again, I tuned into Survivor Series and I'm watching the end of that match going, shit, there's the credits. We're not going to see it. We see it happen. Like, holy cow, it happened. I thought Monday was a letdown.
Yep.
And then I took Tuesday off and decided to watch tonight, obviously. And it was a good night.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. So, well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Kicking Out podcast. Like, subscribe, follow, hit that notification bell on YouTube. Follow us on all social media platforms at Kicking Out Pod. If you're listening to this on your favorite audio podcast platform, give us that 5-star rating and review. We really appreciate it. Really helps us out. Follow me on 27. You can follow Paul Zartman at Paul Zartman 921. KickingOutShop.com. You can get all of your favorite KOP merchandise. Use promo code BLACK23 for free shipping through Friday. With that said, I'm Tanner Lee. He's Austin Shepard. Join us next week as we kick out yet another podcast.